In the upper left side of the map here in the blue, he's playing Celestials. What a brave decision on necrolyte. It's GameFriend. Bottom left side of the map here on the new map, playing Infernals, it's Kel, Rotfire Veil. And I believe this was a map that had a couple rich, yeah, it does have rich luminite on it, but I believe this has been fixed because rich luminite, high yield luminite, does not actually work for Celestials at all. Totally broken. They mine the normal rate, so it's actually really bad. You expand first and build 2 vaults and try to contest the first Stormgate dairy. Okay, for now though, we're gonna see why maybe expanding first instead of getting a couple vaults is maybe not the play. A bunch of fiends are gonna show up and they're gonna kill pretty much every prism in this base. And yes, prisms do build relatively quickly and they are cheap, but this was about half the eco just being taken down right now. Going for these kind of early level fiend pressure is very strong when you kind of go like a vault into an expand and you get your first brute and you split it into 2 fiends immediately and run it onto the other side of the map. That is very impactful. And we're gonna see a second set of 2 fiends because he opened a double vault delayed expand, but there we go. More prisms are gonna go down here. This time, not enough prisms to really kill off all these fiends, I don't think. So now we're gonna start to see, first of all the prisms go down. And second of all, a lot of damage on the actual base. This is very unfortunate now, especially because the effigy is getting dropped. And when the effigy is dropped, it actually does reduce the damage that fiends do. They're supposed to do 12 just flat, but they do only 7 if they're on Shroud. The big deal though is it does, actually, it gets purged, I guess, when the Shroud's gone. But when they're on Shroud, every attack reduces armor by 2. And armor is not a flat value like StarCraft 2, but it's a percentage-based thing. So if you get something down to minus 50 armor, they're taking about, what is it? It's like they're taking an additional like 3rd HP. I forget what the actual math is, but anyway, they're taking damage, but it's a fractional thing. Lip sync is off. Yeah, you know, I thought I had that fixed. We are on. I'm using
Dimensional rift detected.
NDI because encoding on 2K is a little rough if I'm actually also playing the game on 2K, but it sometimes does mean my lip sync is off a little bit. Celestial's not bad versus Vanguard. They may seem weak versus Infernals. My experience is the other way around. Watching a lot of games, playing some games. And that it feels like Celestials can kind of survive and actually play some pretty cool macro games against Infernals, but against Vanguard, they just get hindered so hard by hedgehog pressure that it becomes difficult. You think it's fine for GameFriend? No expo for Kel yet? Yeah, I'd buy that. By the way, Central Stormgate is going to go and get claimed by Kel early on with his flock of fiends. And oh, okay, so he just cloned. I think he just soul forged fiends. I'm pretty sure that's what happened right there because I didn't see anything else. Oh, never mind. There's the Faerun. I'm just blind. But he's got these fiends. It's a full wall though, so that's not that big of a deal. And now we're gonna see this extra base get taken, which by the way is fully walled off to the point where I'm almost I'm actually really surprised that he took this base first. Although I guess if you take this base first, you still have to wall out this setup and you need a cascade field to do so, which means an arc ship needs to be over there anyways. So not all that great, but third base now ready to go. A bunch of fiends are here, but this position is not really going to give you any sort of access point onto this base. I don't think it's still high ground. So, oh no, there is a ramp. Okay. So Amp running over, going to go try to contest this third base. Kree roll-up is done though. So Kree are being made 3 at a time, but here's going to be the attack. Finding its way forward, Brutes, Fiends, and the Prisms are going to get pulled into it because Prisms are the best combat unit that Celestials have. At least in the early game. So they're actually going to get a really nice surround here, getting on top of the Faerun, taking the effigy down, so the minus armor's not really going to be there anymore. And they just burst the Faerun down. This is a surprise. I'm always surprised because I'm like, hey, guys, it's just a bunch of prisms. But they actually hold on fairly well. Now, with no Judicator nodes, it's a little awkward. We're going to go Grace Light first as the visions here, and This army still feels a little small, so we're going to have to wait for that to show up over as Grace Light now turning into the Judicator node, but it's not here just yet. Spent a lot of energy healing prisms up as well, but when you pull all the prisms here, there's just a lot of stuff to kill, and without splash damage until the Gaunts arrive, they're not really doing a lot. And remember, no Soul Brand Chakrams means that splash damage is not incredibly effective, as you could have killed those fiends, but GameFriend lets them go. But yeah, it's not super effective. So again, we see this aggression roll through, and again, we see this aggression not incredibly effective. As now there's a Legion Hall done. We got an Ascension Matrix on the way, but no Arc Fortress just yet. I seeing the Starforge go down, which I think there is. Was that canceled? No, the Starforge is there. I kind of expected this to see Saber something, but no. Okay. We're going to Animancers. Did they fix the mining bug yet? MJT, they have not yet.
Dimensional rift detected.
Not just yet, but the second Stormgate is going to be very far away of where all the action has been. So that likely, my guess would be, is we're going to see playing the averages here is like it's over there. So there's a 33%. There's a 33% chance it's going to be over here now because where a Stormgate spawns has no bearing on where the next Stormgate spawns, but this also does unlock the pressure quite a bit. And one thing that I've been seeing a lot of players do, or Korean Infernal players in particular do, which I think is kind of smart, is they've been going and they've been dropping Tribute Pyres on the map, treating it like kind of like scouting prisms. Treating it kind of like scouting prisms or scouting pylons that a Protoss player would do. And then it also allows you to pretty effectively get Shroud wherever it is that you want to fight. So it does both. And it works pretty nicely. So for now, we're going to have 5 Fiends trying to go take this down. It's, of course, 3,000 HP instead of 1,000. That's why you triple the number of Fiends, and you should be able to claim this. But you also got to remember here that we're in this situation where now we're almost on 4 bases, and this is where life gets maybe a little bit more complicated, but the 4th base is done and just about saturated from what I can is saturated as well. So GameFriend's fine there. And your job as Celestials right now is pretty much to maintain a base lead. Kind of like Zerg, actually, if you think about it. So Stormgate's going to get claimed. Unstable Necrolytes are actually a really good choice into this army because it just means the Kree are going to struggle to get on top. Look at that combo with the Dark Prophecy and the Sabers together. That's a lot. It's not enough to kill everything, but it does get a lot of these units very low here. Look at all the poppage. It does do friendly fire, so you got to be careful with how the Kree engage, but it clears this position up very, very nicely. Now the Fiends are going to run through and try to body block this forward, but the Saber does decent splash damage, so that's going to be fine for now. And this Dark Prophecy is just I don't think you can fight into that. That is just annihilating Kel. Now, again, you really don't want to lose the Kree. Diving through the Dark Prophecy, a little bit awkward. And look at this. We're actually seeing scanners get used. I love it. Scanners make me happy, guys. I know they're not the strongest thing with how the game is being played right now, but scanners just make me happy. But now we're going to see this. Necrolytics have finally found their way over, as now the Celestials on 5 bases, excuse me. They're on 5 bases, starting to develop their economy that much more, staying the base up. On top of the Infernals, this scanner's just making sure that there's not like an extra base going down. And this is where having these Animancers with all of these Energizer nodes, by the way, so it's like constant Dark Prophecy spam, having the Necrolytics make having this Animancer power that much stronger because you can try to slow them down, although it's not being cast right now. Necrolytics get on top of stuff. That's not what you're looking for, but Dark Prophecy will blow things up at the end, so not that big of a deal. And now with these Hellborn on the high ground, a little bit dicey here. Is GameFriend not focusing on this too much at the moment, making sure that he expands elsewhere. But get these Animancers on top of the Hellborn. Get that slow going a little bit.
A Stormgate will activate soon.
By the way, 3rd Stormgate, we talked about getting yourself set up here so you can claim the Stormgate. Well, 3rd Stormgate, which by the way is going to be taking double damage from GameFriend, is getting set up on the right side. So GameFriend, if he decides to go off for it, might try and be able to claim that one. We're going to have to see, but this fight on the left side is what is really constraining everything. It's a lot of, it's what, 5, 6 Hellborn here right now? Don't ask me to count this, but it's like 6 Hellborn sieging away at this Celestial position. So even though Celestial is up in supply, and it has a very strong army, going up this ramp is a little bit difficult. But these trades are not cost effective for the Infernal player in the slightest. And remember, he's only on 4 bases. You like to cut these trees down, maybe make this rally from this base a little bit easier. But he's only on 4 bases, and now Dark Prophecy is going to move in. We do have the Weavers, a little bit tankier, right? 380 HP. But Kel, well, it feels like this push is stalling out a little bit. And on the right side, again, this Stormgate, I'm very surprised at the lack of focus on this Tier 3 Stormgate. Because I think realistically, you know, Tier 1, Tier 2, whatever, but Tier 3, you can get a deep one, you can get a Swarm Mother, you can get a lot of rather nice stuff. So it is a little surprising that we're not seeing more of that. Scythes being added in as well, which is like the ultimate answer to a lot of this composition. Not a lot of Gaunts. I don't see any Shadow Flyers. So you're kind of in this awkward scenario where like Scythes would just, they don't do a ton of damage versus ground. You know, they do 12 versus heavy, 6 versus everything else. It's not a lot. They are very dedicated anti-air, but if there's no, or they're dedicated air-to-air, but if there's no anti-air, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to take a fight at a different angle now where there are no Judicator nodes, and now everything's going to move in and back and out. Dark Prophecy going to pop these Kree at the very least. I'm a little surprised, especially with this mass Animancer comp, we're not seeing more Radiant Fury, or we're not seeing that get researched because, well, a lot of your Kree are just going to die to these Prophecies. And if that's the case, being able to just kind of run them forward anyways, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, audio video interweave, they just float over an arc ship to expand. They don't need to keep the arc ship at home. Presence would have no travel time for mining and R40 Luminite. This is true, but you still need to build more arc ships to make that happen. As the attack on the left side actually finding a decent amount of value on top of this collection rate, but just killing prisons for now. Now the problem is the army brings itself to bear a little bit further forwards. We're seeing the Dark Prophecy on top of these Weavers. Animancer's not sucking the energy out of them just yet. A little surprising there. I think that'd be pretty good piece of utility. But the problem right now is even as this setup is still very good for our Celestial player, you're still a little bit afraid of A, running through your own prophecies. That's a problem with how long they sit there, but also just going up these ramps. That doesn't feel very good, as Tier 3 Stormgate is going to lapse with really no one claiming it. And now, oh, there we go. Archangel goes in. It's got the upgrade as well. It's got Scorched Earth, so it goes down and just more damage on the ground that's difficult to fight through, as Radiant Fury complete as well. So these Kree, they're able to run forward. We have Heaven Step done as well, but no long shot module. So you're actually missing a little bit of damage from these Archons, but GameFriend, his economy, he's actually not even by the main base out just yet. His economy is going like gangbusters here. Every base on the map. And these Dark Prophecies are causing a problem for Kel. He just cannot get past them. I really do think that if you're going to fight this composition, you're looking at Magmadon drops or something, or, you know, using Harbingers to find flanking angles, because this composition fights incredibly well front to back. Even as the Weaver shows up, takes one of the Sabers down, it doesn't matter. Kel falls down, GameFriend wins this game without taking a single Stormgate. Very cool gameplay coming out of our Celestial player. All right, so here we are. It's game number 2. GameFriend didn't take a single Stormgate. Didn't really matter. Was able to go and win the first game, looking rather solid while doing so. And now we're on another map that is long, that has kind of a pushing lane and an off lane, for the lack of a better term, and looks pretty solid. We saw this game number 1. So apparently, Argents are crap until Tier 3, don't bother. I disagree, Root Faith. I don't think that's true. I think you can open up other ways, but, you know. Argent Kree still seems like a decent composition. But apparently with 4 Fiends, you can kill a Tier 3 Stormgate if nothing else is attacking it. So, yeah, that's actually really good to know. where if you're the Infernal player in particular and you are trying to contest and you're just taking fight elsewhere, it does make sense to split 4 Fiends off to another Stormgate and just sick it on it immediately. Because worst comes to worst, you're going to go and you're going to be in this position where, by the way, triple arc ship before any sort of production, which makes sense, right? This is Scarlet Isle. You kind of got this free pocket base. You're not going to see a ton of really painful aggression. And we're seeing the same thing out of Kel. He's got his 3rd shrine up very quickly. So this is a macro game. And is it too greedy to go 4th arc ship? How much of a building should be on Shroud to game the building speed buff, JV Post? I believe, and you can test this in game by looking at the animation, but I'm pretty sure I've tested this. It just has to be touching it. It might have to be the center. No, right? It's the... Yeah, I was gonna say it's the middle of it. It's the center base. It's the middle of the middle of the structure, because that's where the checking is. Oh, you can make a few Argents at the beginning, but you got to transition out and then go back to it with tier 3 because otherwise you're stuck making Argents. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I'll buy that one, Root Faith. Yeah, where you just kind of get stuck in this low tech position where it feels kind of awkward. I do like what we're seeing here out of GameFriend, where he's not taking the obvious expansion point, because this is pretty hard to hold on to. It's fairly wide open. Yes, you can wall it off, but... Mr. GameFriend. I was talking about using this to go and take a hidden base. But this is spicy. This is an Aeon Gate play. I am 95% sure. The prisms are, yeah, no, the prisms are mining. This is an Aeon Gate play. This is very cool here. So we're going to go up to Arc Fortress just about as quickly as possible. Or Arc Station as quickly as possible. And then we're going to see an Aeon Gate go down to the main base. I don't know where it is. We're just going to wait for it to go down. And we're going to see an Aeon Gate go down. There we go. There's the Aeon Gate on the way in the main base here. And we're going to see another one on the other side of the map. Looking probably at this spot right here where there's no vision. Nidus by any other name is just as... Nidus by any other name is just as sweet as the Arc ship's there. It's got vision. It's got a cascade field. Now let's see if this works. Apparently he was playing it last night. Apparently he was practicing this thing last night. We are fairly full up in this Arc ship. Aeon Gate on the way. I kind of expected it to be in a hidden spot, but it's, you know what? Is this visible? Kel, man, it takes so long. Kel sees this. Kel's reacting to this very slowly though. There, the Aeon Gate is done. Now you gotta unload into the Luminite line as quick as you please, but Kel reacts to this reasonably fast. I don't know how well this is gonna work. I think this was very cool, but I don't think this Aeon Gate works. And now remember, this is a finally 3-base Celestial versus a 4-base Infernal. This was very much predicated on making this timing work, and it just didn't get anything. Unfortunately, Aeon Gate was in vision, and that meant Kel just knew what was happening, so he just rotated his army over. It didn't catch him by surprise and wipe a base out. Strange Quark saying this game is so much better to watch now compared to a few patches ago. It's crazy. Thanks for all the streams, Bale. My pleasure. I stream this game because I really do enjoy this game. Yeah, you know, Root Faith, it was very, yeah, it's a hard commit because of all the time it took for the Arc ship to fly, because of how delayed your 3rd collection array is. And we're going to have a 4th one now, but this is a Celestial, like, Celestial has to be ahead in economy. Celestial really does want to go and be a base up pretty much the entire time. And so he sees this army, he's like, yeah, I can't fight this at all. And Aeon Gates are not that expensive, realistically, but even still. It's a pretty awkward scenario. So we're on 4 bases now. We are adding in scythes and all those wonderful things. But again, this is just a really awkward scenario, as I don't know how to pronounce your name. Thank you so much for the Twitch sub, for the 1 month tier 1 sub. Check till Kondontawak. check till Donatowak. There we go. Thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. I don't think this GameFriend's up in supply by like 2, but I just look at this. I'm like, I'm not sure I believe in this. Does have a Seraphim. A Seraphim do really well against Stormgates. They do, I believe it's 400% damage or 500% damage versus Stormgates. So they're really good at like contesting Stormgates. But this army falls. That's not great. Already GameFriend's in a bit of an awkward spot. Now cracking this position is going to be difficult. Cracking the high ground base is not going to be the easiest thing. And we are seeing just mass expands everywhere. More and more Judicator nodes on the way. They're not here just yet. They're not ready just yet, but a couple brutes aren't going to be that much of an issue as the second Stormgate does get claimed. It's going to be these unstable necrolytes just looking to break down the static defense. And, well, this is kind of cool, right? Aeon Gates or Morph Cores now go and they can be made out of any structure that's not an arc structure. And they cost, oh, nice job there, baiting them in. Well done, GameFriend. But any structure that's not an arc structure, you can go and turn it into a Morph Core for the cost of the unit, and you get refunded the cost of the unit minus 50. And then you can go and, or the cost of the structure minus 50, and then you go and drop those down, and you get the cost back, and then you pay the cost minus 50. So effectively, it gives you a lot of flexibility here as you move around. As we're gonna see, this is not a bad fight, all things considered. The necrolytes don't get a ton, but this Magmadon is causing problems, and you're just gonna have to give this position up. 2/3 of the Judicator nodes out of resources as these Sabers continue to have to run here. But they fight back to another Judicator line, and, well, the Seraphim in the sky is doing a pretty decent job. Necrolyte, do we have the upgrade? Well, Necrolyte actually upgrades and does get a lot done. Self-repair doing a pretty good job as well. And this is a solid defense for GameFriend, all things considered, for now. But I'm 95% sure he loses this base, even as the Judicator nodes are trying to do something. 95% sure he loses the forward base. He's holding on to this thing fairly well, at least for now. And remember, there's this base on the right side that's kind of mining. It's based on the right side that is actually not mining. Well, it's mining Therium. So losing this base is not the end of the world. I want only to donate is the name. I assume that's a Polish name. Celestial's doing Zerg stuff. Infernal doing Protoss stuff. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. You're going to have a lot of bases without prisms. Yeah, that's the problem. As we're going to see, this base is going to get cleaned out as well as the Arc Fortress is here. I'd love to see the Arc Fortress fly away across the map because Fate Ender Beam has been added back in. You need 2 Argents, 2 Lancers, or 1 Fiend to take a tier 1 Stormgate. Multiply by 3 per tier. The math has been done. Thank you, David Bodor, for your anti-fiend propaganda. As Ariel taking this, taking I want to donate's name literally and saying, hey, donate to the tournament prize pool. For now, though, and yes, you do want to go support the tournament. Go do! Exclamation mark match Reno. Go support the prize pool there. Another base, this base is going to get reestablished once again. I think most of the prisms have died, though. The saving grace here is this setup that, unfortunately, this is rallying prisms to the wrong area, but this base right here is 4 out of 12. It's mining a decent amount of Therium. These random prism rallies are gonna get him in trouble. Like, you just got to take this off. You just got to take this off your rally, I think. You got to take this off your hotkeys because it is a problem right now where everything's getting rallied into it. But GameFriend has been able to somewhat stabilize. We got Energizer nodes, Gracelight nodes, Judicator nodes on this scenario. Stormgate now going to get claimed, I believe. Tier 3 should go to Kel. Looks like there might be a bit of a contest here, taking out at least some of the structures that or the units that are low. What do we got upgrade-wise? No long shot just yet. It's Argent, it's Animancer. Dark Prophecy is going to go down. It's fairly solid. And we do have, what's it called? We do have Radiant Fury done as well. So the Kree, even once they start to die, they can go down. But now, you're just going to get run on top of here. Now, it's good that no longer Dark Prophecies, they don't channel anymore. But the Animancers, or not the Animancers, the Magmadons run through everything. And this should be the end of it. The army of GameFriend is dead. And, this is not a late game balance thing. This is the fact that GameFriend did a 2-base Aeon Gate all in and got nothing done. And, that was a bit of a pickle, bit of a problem. So he's trying to find his way back into this. Thought about contesting the tier 3 Stormgate. Didn't really work. Tier 3 Stormgate. What do we got? Ah, there we go. It's a Dark Throne. And I think if you're a, well, okay, just going to drop it right here. I think if you are an Infernal player, the best use of a Dark Throne is to go get Flaming Imps and drop it right in front of your opponent so you can get Shroud really easily. And then just use it as a Infernal, not Infernal Fury. You can use that just as a Fiend, or not a Fiend, an Imp explosion generator. Because when you get the Shrine, when you get the Dark Throne, you get 3 workers. And you also get workers a lot faster. You get a worker every 6 seconds. So it's a very nice tool to get yourself a lot of imps that can go explode things. I think that is probably the single. This is not bad. It's another base. It's a lot of Luminite. It's going to get you a lot more brutes. It's solid. But I think what I'm talking about is like the cool play that has a lot of value to it. So for now, we're looking at this army. GameFriend is a very tiny army in comparison. You gotta do what he can, but the army moves in on multiple flanks. And this tiny little army is not gonna be enough here. Everything's gonna get taken down. GameFriend's gonna be forced to go to game number 3. I like the idea, by the way. That build was cool. Shades of the Nidus plays of old, but we have a single sight. That's not doing much of anything. I always forget what this upgrade is called. It's, where is my, there it is. Darkness spreads. So getting this upgrade, that means when it's done, Shroud spreads even further off of Shroud generating structures. And I don't even know that we're going to get to that point because GameFriend is giga dead. Alcatode, that's a cool idea. I'm doing it next time. Yeah, steal and say, take, it's the BeoMulf maneuver, right? The Beo maneuver. Give me credit on it, right? But I think it's very cool. As GameFriend, though, is going to get forced out of this game. And we move to game 3. All right. Hey, someone just donated $75 to the prize pool. Whoever donated, let me know who it was. Thank you so much. I'll tap out after the game. Otherwise, I got to go recover my water bottle. But we're on Emberfrost. It's a pretty map. I'll be right back. I have returned. He wants to donate, and he did donate. Sorry, $50 contribution, not a $75, but thank you so much. As now, a couple fiends are going to show up here, be annoying. And, well, we're going triple arc ship before any sort of defensive structures, but as long as you got prisms, you should be fine. Yeah, Storm Ram, StarCraft 2. This is a map made by Matterino. There's the winter biome that looks, especially this kind of like dirty snow, it looks fantastic. And then on the other side, it's desert. All right, it's Fraud, it's Ember, Stormgate, or like Infernal themed. These maps are looking so good and way more fun to play on than the ladder maps. Where in the world does something say !grid? I should just turn that off. But there is no grid command. That was a sponsored tournament from a while ago. And I love how good it's, you know what? Yes, Celestial economy is a little bit broken right now, a little bit too slow. And I think that probably does need to get fixed, but I am kind of enjoying this interplay of defensive prisms versus defensive units. It's kind of cool. It's growing on me a little bit. It is one of these things where it's like, it probably doesn't feel all that great to play. Because, just being forced to lose mining units early probably doesn't feel all that great. But like as a viewer, it's kind of cool. Where it's like, as a Celestial, there's kind of this budget of prisms that you're okay with losing early to enable your greed. And that's just kind of the expectation. that is a little bit different from how a lot, like how say StarCraft 2 works or something. Yes, there are some builds where you bleed some workers away, but like you don't expect to use your workers as a defensive unit built into the build. Yeah, get these on the ladder ASAP. I've had some conversations with Frost Giant. There's no promise about anything happening soon, by the way. But I've had some conversation with the Frost Giant about like, hey, you know, you should add, and I've given them a list of maps that I think should be added into the ladder pool. So hopefully they pay attention to what I'm saying. And it's not, by the way, it's not a lack of, it's not a desire to, or it's not a lack of desire to add these in. It's just a time. Where does the dev time go? Is it worth spending the dev time on that versus something else? Because you have to QA the maps and yada, yada, yada. So it's not a lack of desire, is all I'm going to say. Who is Refresh? Is he ex-pro StarCraft 2? No, high-level StarCraft 2 player, I think. But I don't think he was ever professional StarCraft 2. Risen with the prisms. Hey, Paz. Wait, is this Paz Cat or is this a different Paz? Vanguard, your workers are on ice skates. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I this conceptually, this idea of like my prisms are my defensive units is kind of cool. It's different in a way that, you know, it does give you some of this it gives you a little bit more asymmetry in a way that's not just, oh, I'm gonna have 3 big prisms and it's almost impossible to balance to like make right, because you kill one prism to make harassable, because like you lose 1 prism and you lose a significant percentage of your economy. But I think it'd be really cool to actually go up from 12 out of 12 to 16 out of 16 specifically for Celestials. And you just gotta have these like ablative prisms that just kind of, that get burned away, but it's okay because, you know, that's 1/16th instead of 1/12th and they're cheaper, but they mine less. Like again, you scale the economy, so every faction mines 750 Illuminite or 700 Illuminite per base per minute. You know, I think that's fair. That's kind of where we are right now in terms of eco scaling. But you just give Celestials more. The downside of that is that in maxed out scenarios, Celestial's going to have less supply of units, which is a little bit awkward. As by the way, Aeon Gate dropping into the natural here, but it's going to get taken down. So that's not really going to find all that much. And there's another attempted one in the main base. This is Zerg gameplay. Like straight up, this is like late game Nidus gameplay, and I'm here for it. Now, obviously, it's not going to work out particularly well, but I love seeing GameFriend messing with this style because for the longest time, Celestials have not had drop pressure. And technically, this isn't drop pressure either, but it's a different look at it. And I think it's very cool. Is it going to work? I don't know. This is a much more macro-focused build than what we saw in game number 2, so you're not going to be quite as messed up by it not finding value, but you do have to pay for the Aeon Gates. And there is that, but what it is also doing, it's forcing Kel to stay at home. As our little 8 damage pain infliction is not really doing all that much, but yeah, it's going to force a cancel anyways. Kind of cool.
Rift detected. A Stormgate will activate soon.
It's a different Paz, okay. But hello there, Paz, anyways. And they changed the Brute Fiend interaction pretty well. Yeah, it might, the Fiend damage might be slightly overpowered, but I think in general, I like the Fiends being used. Yeah, I'm with you, Ariel. I like Fiends being used as a harassment tool.
A Stormgate has appeared.
Can you throw down the Aeon Gate with scan? No, Root Faith. It needs to be in a cascade field. So that's why this arc ship is over here. It doesn't go down in any space. It does need to have this cascade field around to make something happen. So now that there's a 7-minute Stormgate going down and Kel's committing to it, hey, guess what? There's Aeon Gate in your main base, but 2 Fiends can go take it down. Unfortunately, Aeon Gate, is it worth it? Nah, probably not. I'm like, does it make sense to go and, what's the word I'm looking for? To like morph core, but you actually don't get any enhanced production speed with a morph core anymore. So that's not quite how that works. There's another Aeon Gate's going down somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, so just enabling a little bit more defensive play. And apparently, no, there we go. I was like, wait a minute. Our Shadow Flyer's not allowed to hit this arc ship, but Shadow Flyers are. I want to donate, says, I've been watching StarCraft 2 since it started. Really unlucky what happened with Blizzard. Really hope we all switch to Stormgate. BeoMulf, good job. Yeah, first of all, thank you. Second of all, yeah, I would love for Blizzard to actually pay attention to StarCraft, but be as that may be, they're not. They've decided it does not make them as much as a World of Warcraft horse. So you know what can you do? But that, in my mind, I really enjoy Stormgate. That's why I'm casting it. That's why I'm making content for it. Because I really do enjoy the game. But one of the benefits of this, because this game is not as good as it will eventually be if it can get off the ground. Because realistically, this game is being actively developed. It's the single game of the studio. This is a bunch of developers that came and said, I love RTS games. Blizzard will not let me make an RTS game. I'm going to go and make my own RTS game. We're going to make our own studio for it. And if it doesn't work, that's really unfortunate, but that is the idea. I love this. Not everyone has this, but yeah, I get this annoying bug where sometimes when I click with middle mouse button, it like puts my camera in an odd spot. I've talked to other people though, and they're not running into this. You can technically build it with a morph core. You can, Ariel, but but it still has to be in the cascade field, right? So why do people like fiends, not dogs? Because dogs, like the last game, came out way too early. Like you would have a scout in the very beginning, and the levels of oppression are not nearly the same. Because fiends fall over with, like, fiends are strong, yes, but they fall over with the stiff breeze. And they're also a lot more expensive. Like, 2 fiends cost 150 Illuminite. Scouts do not cost 70 Illuminite. So for now, we're going to see this low ground fight. Concave getting set up by GameFriend a little bit. He's got himself a lot of sabers, but he is not where he needs to be. Saberlight, half your army getting jumped on here. Was not paying attention to that one whatsoever. 0 Dark Prophecies going down. All the sabers getting taken out. And now necrolytes are going to try to bring their way on top of the army through the Dark Prophecy. Not going to get a ton there, but this is a disaster of a fight for GameFriend. He was not paying attention here. What? He was well set up to take the low ground fight, but he just got jumped on top of. And the entire army's dead and he's dead. That is how that works. GameFriend was, I don't know what he was doing. Don't know if he's macroing elsewhere, paying a screen somewhere else, but he was not paying attention to that fight whatsoever. He just loses every single high-tech part of his army. And yeah, maybe this Archangel is not gonna do anything. It's not enough. Not with the Weavers here. They're just gonna go, he'll chunk this thing down. This was not what you were looking for GameFriend. He was well set up. Sabers in the back line, Concave, and then he just moves his army up to the high ground here, but leaves his tech units behind. And they just get jumped on. He just got absolutely jumped on. So this is GameFriend dead, by the way. 216 supply to 95. Very cool game number 1. Kind of an interesting game number 3, and game 2 with Aeon Gate. But man, he's gonna go look back at that one and just be so upset with how that happened. Of course, if you want to stay up to date with how Stormgate's progressing and how the meta is progressing now that we're in release, make sure you hit the sub button, follow me on Twitch, and I'll catch you next time.